What's up, guys? Back for another Hawkeye Star Wars video. In this video, we are going to be going over Castorice's relics, light cones, and team options so you can get a better idea of how to 1. Build her, 2. Build your team around her, and 3. If you should be going for her light cone or maybe going for the battle pass one, or what you need before she drops. If you're watching this after she dropped, let me know in the comments. You get lucky, all that good stuff. And if you're wondering why this image is on the screen, I really didn't know how to start this video before jumping into the other screens, so it is what it is, right? If you're watching this, I'm currently technically on a vacation. Not really. I have to build 2 cabins, and it's not going to be fun, unfortunately, but life goes on. But anyway, let's get into the video. So light cone options are going to be probably the biggest issue. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously relics are going to be RNG based and teams just depend on what you have, but light cones, her being remembered kind of screws her over. I'm not gonna lie. This is just how it is when something new drops in any video game. Really, you just don't have a lot of options. It could be a new weapon, right, in like something like Genshin or Wuwa, and obviously they're gonna have like a 5-star when the new one comes out, and then like nothing else. It's just how it is here, right? So unfortunately, she suffers from a few things, right? Agha's light cone doesn't help her at all because you relatively don't want her to be that fast, and it's basic attack base. The one from the Herder shot boosts speed and then damage dealt to allies when you, I believe it's like target someone, right? Or no, it's when you use your skill. Sorry, which I mean, cool, right? At speed, you don't really want to use that anyway. So she has very few options, which makes her light cone even more devastating. The fact that it's actually insanely good. So Castor scales off of HP, so increases her max HP by 30%. Then, when the wearer or the remember sprite loses HP during their own turn, the wearer gains Death Flower, which allows the wearer or the remember sprite to ignore 30% of the target's defense. That's crazy. It lasts for 2 turns, but that's insane. Defense shred is great in this game. Then, that's not all. There's more. When the wearer's memory strike disappears, it advances the wearer's action by 12%. This effect can trigger up to 1 time. The trigger count resets every time the wearer uses their ultimate. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. Considering you want her low speed, the action advance helps her actually act yet again, right? So obviously her light cone is going to be the best option. But what if you don't get lucky or just don't have enough summons to get to the light cone? Well, your next best option is going to be the battle pass one, which isn't even free. You have to pay for it. This one increases your crit rate by 12%, and then when the wearer's memory sprite's on the field, you and the memory sprite deal 24% more damage, which is pretty solid, right? This is at superposition 1. If you're able to max it out, you get 20 and 36, but most people are going to have this at 1, so we're just going to put it at 1 because you can really only have it at 2, I guess 3. So if you buy it every time the battle pass you use will look like this. You'll have 16 and 30, which isn't bad, right? It gives you some bit of crit rate, which Castorice wants. She scales off of HP and then is a crit damage DPS after that. So this isn't bad, but nowhere near as good as her light cone, giving her just a bunch of stuff, right? Then after that is going to be a bit of a weird one, right? Unfortunately, victory in a blink increases her crit damage by 12%. Well, let's max it out, right? Because this is a free one. 24%. And then when the wearer's member try using an ability on an allied target, instantly need to stop reading because that's not how that Castorice works. So it's really just a 24% crit damage stat stick. And then the 3-star one that she can actually use is this one. When the member sprite turn starts the wearer, and the member sprite each gain 1 stack of commemoration. Each stack increases damage up by 8%, stacking up to 4 times. When the member sprite disappears, removes it. Considering the dragon disappears quite frequently and reappears, it's going to be kind of rough to get, and the base HP stat is kind of low for this one, right? This is another one where you can go up to 5, so it's 12, right? But not great. We have one that barely works, a stat stick with low stats, it's a 4-star, and then you have this one, which is just another stat stick almost. Here comes another option. It's buy lose light cone. Well, not specifically buy lose light cone. The reason this is an option, and I didn't even think about this, so it's funny that people are recommending this, is you basically want it for the HP stat. Because it's a 5-star light cone that goes on abundance characters, it has a lot more HP than normal. Other light cones that have this, I believe, are Tribi, Mide, Fu Xuan, and I think there's one other character. If you have any of those light cones and you don't have Sweat Now Cry Less, or get her light cone, you could use this. You don't get any of this effect, unfortunately, because 18% HP would be kind of nice, but you do get the stats from the light cone, so that's pretty cool. Other than that, it's not looking too hot for Castorice. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of, I feel like if you are sending for Castorice and you know you're not getting the light cone, just try to find a way to get one copy of this light cone at least, bro. At least one copy so you get the 12% crit rate and the 24% damage dealt. Then you'll be chilling. You don't have to worry about it too much. The damage difference is going to be kind of crazy, but at least you won't be rocking, you know, a Bailu light gun on your Remembrance character. Next up is going to be team comps, right? Now, I have a handy dandy little tier list ready for you. They are in order. So, Castorice is at the top. Obviously, this is the character you're building the team for. The best support is going to be Tribby and the Remembrance MC, mostly for the true damage and the action advance for the I almost said Harmony. I actually like straight up almost said Harmony, even though I caught myself from saying Harmony. Remembrance MC, and then Tribby is just great because Tribby works well with other HP scalers, right? So you will absolutely love that. Then, you know, my dog agreed. I don't know if you heard that, but my dog agreed. Tribby, very, very cool character. Then next up would be Sunday, since Sunday can action advance your dragon. The only issue with Sunday is, yeah, you kind of don't get energy because Castorice has her own energy she gets from allies like healing, taking damage, and whatnot. And Sunday can't really help. It's like an Acheron situation where Acheron benefits really well from Sunday. Sunday's really good for Acheron, giving her crit rate, action mats, all that. But the energy from the ult is just wasted, unfortunately, right? And then next up would be Robin. Now, Castorice can't take advantage of Robin's attack boost from her ultimate, which does suck, but you can take advantage of the action advance and the extra crit damage, so that is pretty nice. Then when it comes to healers, Loacha and Gallagher are kind of tied. Loacha is technically a little bit better. I just like having Gallagher because he's a nice 4-star option. So if you have Gallagher with dupes, you can just use him instead of Loacha. Don't be like, oh my god, Loacha's number 1. I need to get him instead of Ruan Mei. Relax, Gallagher will work just fine, right? They pretty much are here because when you attack an enemy, you heal, right? Which means that you generate a lot of healing, and then Castorice can get her ultimate charge super quickly. Then it would be Linksha, just because you probably built her with high speed, and she has like the emergency heals and the bunny heals when it acts, and she just has a lot of healing in her kit, which translates to ult charge for Castorice. And then Ho-Ho would be the next up. Another thing, attack doesn't really help Castorice and the energy, so Ho-Ho's ult is pretty much useless, unfortunately, but she's really the only other healer that kind of just works because you're not running Bailu because she doesn't have a cleanse, and the 4-star healers are pretty sorry, so you can't really run those. Then in terms of best sub DPSs, it's just Mide and Blade, just because they drain HP, and that's pretty much it, right? Mide does look pretty fun with Castorice. I've not seen anyone use Blade at all, so I can't say too much on him, but he works very similar, so you can run them together. I feel like Castorice will probably just do better if you run Tribby, remember it's MC, and then a healer, right? So Castorice, Tribby, RMC, and like Gallagher would be a solid team, which is pretty free to play, right? It's just Tribby and Castorice. And the other two, Gallagher isn't free, but you probably have him. If not, you know, that is rough. I believe he is on one of the banners. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think he's on Castorice's. If I'm wrong, I do apologize. But regardless, though, pretty free-to-play-ish team. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, I got my Battle Pass Light Cone. I got the team. I got them built up. I'm ready, right? How do I build Castorice, right? So, you're in luck. If you have been farming the newer Relic sets, you probably have some stuff ready. Now, the one I am using is going to be the 4-piece Poet of Morning Collapse. That is the quantum damage, and then if you are slower, you get crit rate, right? This means that you want to build Castorice slow. That's fine, because most of the time she's kind of just a summon dragon bot and then, you know, go from there, which you don't need to act. Unlike Acheron, you can really just sit in the back and let your teammates do everything and then summon the dragon and go from there, right? Plus, you get so much crit rate where if you have a crit rate body piece and the crit from Poet at 95 speed, you get a whopping 64% crit rate. That means you can have barely any crit rate rolls and you'll still be good to go. And if you're running with Sunday, that's pretty much all the crit you need right then and there, right? Then, for the 2-piece, you pretty much just have to run this, right? For the 4-piece, you can also run the Quantum set, the older one, but you have to be fighting an enemy who's weak to Quantum to really get the full benefit from it, and this one's just more universal, and it's just better, right? That's why I recommend this. But if you have, like, absolutely garbage trash relics, you can run the old Quantum set. there is not really much use of running anything but this for the two-piece. It was literally made for it. It's max HP with 12%. Then we have more than 5,000 HP, which should be pretty damn easy considering what Castorice wants. You get an extra 28% crit damage. Like how can you beat that? Like, actually, this one was quite literally made. It has her color scheme, it has a dragon. It's literally made for Castorice. Just run this, right? In terms of what stats you want, right? I highly recommend running HP boots for this one. I actually don't have a better HP boots at the moment, so I just put this down and I'm waiting to see if I get anything better before I level this one up, right? So you want HP percent and HP substats, and then crit damage, and then you go from there. Now you can have a little bit of speed, right? On my chest piece, I have a crit damage one that went into speed 7 times, right? Now I'm going to eventually reroll this. I just want to have one dice at all times just in case, but I plan on rerolling this, right? I'm hoping the speed doesn't go any higher because I calced it, and as it is, I will have exactly 95 speed. So, oh no, sorry, 94 speed. So please, when I reroll this, don't go into speed. So you can have a little bit, but not too much, because then you end up getting the 20% instead of the 32, and a 12% crit decrease is really rough. I'm not gonna lie, that's a lot of rolls you'd have to make up for it, right? And then obviously you can't change these ones. For orb, I have a quantum damage boost one. You can rock HP as well. It really just honestly depends on what you have, right? For this one, I have HP and crit damage, so I figured I'd be pretty solid with it. And then for this one, you just rock HP. You can't use energy regeneration, and she doesn't scale off of defense or attack, so I mean, this one's pretty obvious. I have a pretty okay one. It ran into everything once, right? My Castorice build isn't going to be too crazy, but it's good enough, right? This does benefit if you summon for Aglia before, because it's the same set. You get the, funny enough, the speed memo sprite set and the minus speed memo sprite set is the same domain. And then this one is just, it's really just this one, right? If you're going for Mide or Tribi, you've probably already farmed this and you can probably grab some pieces, right? Otherwise, good luck grinding, right? Luckily, we are gonna get some, cool rewards for anniversary, so you can probably slap together some self-mining resins and go from there. Hopefully, you guys get some good rolls, because that's really the hardest part of building a character, is getting decent enough rolls to have your character function, especially if it's a DPS. If you don't have enough crit rate, it can be pretty brutal. Now, that's pretty much going to be it for the guide on Castorice. Like I said, you're going to want these relics for Castorice, and then you're going to want these characters for your teams, and then the best Lycone is pretty much just going to be hers or the battle passes. I do hope that in the future they drop some more 4-star ones, right? There's a Herda and Ruan Mei one, but that one's not too great. Hopefully we get some more generic light cones for Remembrance that encompasses most of the characters. I'm not too sure exactly what it would entail, considering a lot of them want different things. But yeah, also one quick thing I have, keep in mind down here, I totally forgot to mention it. I know people are probably gonna be like, what the heck? Keep in mind, Hycean is going to be a healer. So, yeah, you might want to be prepared for that, right? She is a Remembrance healer, so she's probably going to have a healing memo sprite, right? We see her in her splash art. She has like a little unicorn. I'm assuming it's that. The other relic set with the one you want for Castorice is all about healing and memo sprite, and she's a doctor. I would not be surprised if the best in slot healer for Castorice is going to be this girl, right? Considering we had Mide and Castorice, who are both HP scaling, draining characters, it just makes too much sense, right? We still don't have a healer that is buffing HP scalers or drainers, right? I mean, technically Luocha, but he really just keeps you alive more than actually is kind of buffing them, right? And considering we've had a lot of sustains who are actually buffing the characters at the same time, I feel like it's just time. Plus, Blade's getting a buff soon. It's literally the 3 characters that are HP drainers that scale have HP. It's just too obvious, right? So if you are in need of a healer, let's say you don't have Gallagher built, or you don't have him at all, and you don't have Luocha, and you're running like Linksha, maybe keep in mind, especially if you're a huge Castor fan, you want her best team, you will not have a lot of time. You'll have pretty much a Nox's release, and then they drop her, so do keep that in mind when summoning and whatnot. But we'll have to see for the official release of her kit before we get full details if she's going to work well with Castorice or not. But other than that, that'll pretty much be it for the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Hopefully you guys have an easy time building and using your Castorice. And of course, I'll catch y'all in the next one.